Alright, so this is the edge of the volume. It's just a box. The volumetrics work, they're voxels, so they're boxes. I have the draw distance for the volumetrics at the default, which I think is 6,000 or 60 meters. I'm using the default lighting settings from the Fallujah sandstorm level. And now I'll go through what I've done. So the material is a material I found that Ben Cloudwood had done for making a basic moving local fog, and I basically copied and pasted from his video everything that he did, but I've added in a bunch of switches to turn stuff on and off. So it's pretty much identical to what he's done, and it's just applied to a cube. Oops. In the level, this is a 100 by 100 by 100 meter cube. Yeah, so after realizing I couldn't watch a video that I'm still recording, I looked at the two clips that I did before, and I can't see a performance drop, any noticeable performance drop from the map when I didn't have this volume or the volumetric going in it versus now when the volume is in and it's working. So there you go. Okay, this is a test on my Samari map. Let's get some stats up. Looks to be about the same as what it normally is. Now just testing it from in town. Now I'm going to test it from the same forward point that I just did from, without the volumetrics running, or without the volumetric fog running. This is what the vanilla looks like. Something I forgot to mention before was that on that Samari test, the volume for that moving cloud volumetric, the cube that I used is actually covering almost the entire level. in the lighting, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I still had the view distance set up to 300 meters, which is quite a lot more than default, which is 6,000 meters. So I actually had that cranked up quite a lot. Now I'm assuming that the 300 meter rendering distance was what I saw when I was doing my playtest. I think it was, because it looked like it was coming from quite far away. So there you go, even with it set to a relatively high view distance, it was quite happy, no real frame loss or anything like that. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with how that's turned out. Another thing I've done is I've built a bunch of levels. What I'm calling my lighting and weather levels. Basically, I looked at how the levels were put together as far as a lighting level, and then you have to have the lighting and the weather in the same level as well. And then after going through and also making my own version of the weather system blueprint, which I modified so that I can have a lot more entries in here to choose from, and also I have added two different. I've made my own versions of the particle system for what there was rain heavy, only rain heavy. So I've now got a light rain version and a heavy rain version. So my blueprint now will not only do that, but it will also come on. Any fucking there we go. So the blueprint, in the blueprint there's some setup stuff that it does when it starts up. So I basically added entries to this enumerator. So I've got my own enumerator now. So the ambient sound selection, I've got that set up so it sets the sound properly, and I also set up and added in setting the wind strength based on the weather type as well. So I've got some approximate wind strengths for different weather conditions, and then the particles I also swapped out and put in my own ones in here for using the same array of vanilla particle systems, because I don't have any, oh sorry, that's the cylinders, particle systems. I don't have any extras that I've added into that, although I can. So I have now got a bunch of weather and lighting layers pre-set up with the lighting and the fog and all sorts of stuff pre-done for a bunch of different zones of the globe. So I've gone with arid, temperate and tropical. So for instance, this one here, I'll go and I'll remove that one and I'll put in temperate heavy rain with thunder, and we've now got fog and stuff. Now the fog may not be exactly in the right position. It depends, actually depends on where the Z value is for the landscape that you're working on. And unfortunately, Samari's landscape has its origin way up over here somewhere. It's quite insane, so it's miles above where it should be. I think it's actually it's like 100 units above zero, which means the bottom of Samari, because if I go up, that's more than 100 meters, surely. So the bottom of Samari is somewhere below zero, which means that the fog is not quite right, but it can be tweaked, that's fine. The other option is to redo or get copies of the geos and set them so that preferably the water plane, or wherever the water plane is on this, is at zero. So then all of these will work based off a water plane height being the 0 point to then get the fog from. So yeah, so this is, and I'll just quickly go in and play this because turn that off. So all of these are set up so that they've got all the different conditions that sort of mostly described on here for different areas. I did temperate ones, all of them. I did them all for Balea to start with. I basically worked on Balea and set them all up. Then I decided that they didn't quite work properly with my tropical island or my tropical zone maps that I've been doing, so I made some tropical zone ones, and then of course we just decided that sandstorm would be good, so I had to make some arid ones. Alrighty, it's finally started up. I'm going to jump in at the same forward base that I was doing the previous tests in. Okay. Rain's actually really hard to see, and I'm still not happy with the size of the particles. I want to make them small but more obvious, like real rain. But it seems to work pretty well. The other thing with those weather and lighting layers that I've made is the weather, the sound associated with the weather, as in rain, snow, wind, those sorts of overall environmental sounds are called on by the level, by the by the weather blueprint. So you don't need to put in overall sounds, although I believe there is on this map because I haven't bothered copying or making a copy of this map, so there's probably still underlying global or map-wide sounds. So yeah, and like I say, this is as easy as removing this layer and change it to a different layer, and it will be pretty much, apart from maybe a little bit of tweaking here and there, it'll be set up ready to go without having to do any environmental tweaking or changing out sound cues or anything like that. The only thing that I haven't gotten around to yet, which I was tempted to do, particularly for the layers that have wind or like this rain, is to add into the layer some sound volumes so that when you walk inside the wind drops down or gets quieter and it doesn't sound like it's raining inside. I did notice in the blueprint that OWI's got some code in there that is related to sound, and sound when you go into rooms or something like that. I'll have a quick look at it now because it's interesting, but it's a work in progress, do not use, which is unfortunate. So there's a check roof material function, and I'm not sure where that's called. I did find it at one point, but I can't remember where it was, and I've closed off all the function ones that I didn't want. So anyway, there is a call to this event somewhere in here, and it's basically getting the player's location, and then tracing up to see what's above them, see what roof they're under, and then it's calling a surface type depending on all of these. Depending on what it hits, it throws up a surface type, and then that would be put through to I presume specific audio channels or specific audio functions like audio volumes. So I'm not sure, unless it's done on the player. It could be an audio thing done on the player. There seems to be a bit missing in here. Like, it also seems that it wouldn't take much to hook it up, but I honestly don't know what's going on here. There's also a check room type event there, which is also either called from somewhere else, or it's the call for it's missing in here, and it's doing a trace in different directions, basically getting the walls and the floor and the ceiling, and I'm assuming that is going to be acting on things like reverb and also attenuation of sounds inside and outside. But unfortunately it's not hooked up, so we can't use it. Like I say, this process is really simple, just to remove one and then put in a different one, totally different lighting. Anywho, that's what I've done so far, so see what you reckon. Oh look, it's beer o'clock. I'm going to jump off and crack one.